So, over the last 10 years, I studied over 100 books on time management and productivity. I picked up 10 super simple habits that have transformed the way that I manage my time. These habits are really easy to implement and they can work for anyone. As a business owner or a content creator and a parent to an active toddler, I know what's like to feel overwhelmed. But these habits, they help me to stay productive, balance my family time, and still make room for my health, doing workouts, reading, relaxing, and just spending some time with friends. What I like about it is that each habit builds on the last one. And by the end of the video, you'll see how they work together like a system. Habit number one is work in flight mode for laser focused sessions. So before your flight, you have to prepare before you board. It's the same thing with work. Preparation really is everything. So the night before, I reviewed my task and identified the three most important ones for the next day. Not a long laundry list what I have to do because I would just get really overwhelmed and actually get nothing done. I write them down either in my notebook or on my phone. So when I sit down to work, I don't waste any time wondering where to start. Just like when you're required to switch your phone to flight mode on a plane, you should do the same thing before you start your work session. So I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and I keep it out of sight. And one trick I love is setting on a special focus mode on my phone. So only my daughter's school and close family can reach me during that time. Everything else stays muted until I'm done. And once you set up your focus, it's time to get super clarity on what to work on. And that brings me to schedule your time in blocks. So imagine your day like a pizza. Every slice represents a different part of your life. Work, exercise, cooking, family time, relaxing. By blocking out your day, you're deciding when to eat each slice. So I schedule my day in 30 minutes or 1 hour blocks so everything has its place. So for example, my calendar might look really full to you right here, but it's filled with intentional blocks for exercise, reading, journaling, and also lots of family time I can spend with my daughter. And I even block out time for winding down before bed and catching up with friends. Now, without these blocks, it just wouldn't happen. And deep work sessions are also being blocked in here where I can focus entirely on a single task. This system really prevents that overwhelm and helps me to be a lot more intentional with my time. Your schedule might look different, but the principle of time blocking can change the way you manage your time forever. So once you mapped out your day, this brings me to this next habit, which will supercharge your productivity. And that is batch similar tasks together. One thing I learned is that multitasking really is the enemy of trying to be productive. When I try to switch between unrelated tasks like sending work emails, paying bills, or doing laundry, because you think you're superhuman and you can fit it all in, I end up scattered and actually getting nothing done. So instead, I group similar tasks together. I'll set aside time to do all the laundry at once, to pay all the bills, or block off an hour for answering emails. I work on one project at a time before moving on to tasks for the next projects. And when it comes to cooking, I batch cook meals for the whole week so I don't have to spend time on it later. And I think if you're cooking anyway, it doesn't take extra effort just to cook a bigger portion. And for work, I also like to batch what I do on different days of the week. So Monday and Friday mornings are reserved for deep work, while Thursdays are more reserved for meetings and calls. And this really helps me to stay focused and in the zone on those specific days for longer periods. So batching similar activities together makes everything feels much more efficient and manageable. So again, your schedule and situation can be completely different, but using this concept can help you streamline your work and life. And once you got your task under control, this brings me to the next habit, which will help you free up mental space for what matters. And that is automate repetitive tasks. So I think automation is such a game changer. Think about all the tasks that you do every day repeatedly. So many of them can be automated. So for example, I set up subscriptions for household items that we use all the time. So trash bags, soap, laundry detergents. We never run out anymore, and I don't have to think about reordering. And financially, I automate 20% of my income into savings and investments every single month. I don't have to make the decision to do it over and over again. It just happens automatically without me thinking about it, and really helped me to build that wealth over time instead of actually spending that money. So I really recommend writing down all the tasks that you repeat often and look for ways to automate them. I think automation can free up so much of your time and energy for what matters most. And once you start to do more automation, you get more hours back in your week. But I think the real magic happens when you use that time with this next habit, and that is work during your power hours. So we all have certain time of the day when we feel our most productive, focused, and energized. Some of you might be early risers, like part of the 5 a.m. club. Some of you might get much more energy that peaks in the evening, so you could be one of the night owls. And for me, my most productive window is right after I drop off my daughter at school. So from about 9 a.m. to about 11:30 a.m. in the morning. This is a time when I feel like I'm in the zone, right? That's when I tackle my most demanding tasks like writing a presentation, working on strategy documents, or even scripting videos for my channel. But usually by about 11:30, my focus starts to dip and I feel that. And that's when I grab a light lunch, I hit the gym and recharge. Then I can get another 2 more hours of work done in the afternoon. So by 4 o'clock, I focus on shallow work like emails or managing social media comments. And by spending my downtime in the evenings, relaxing, reading, or just journaling. So if you work during your power hours, you'll find that you're going to get a lot better work done in less time. Now, speaking of maximizing your power hour, it's really crucial to have the right tools. And that's where Notion comes in, who's also the sponsor of this video. I first discovered Notion while searching for a way to centralize all of my thoughts, my schedules, my goals, my projects, and even habit tracking. And really what I found was that Notion was a game changer. So it became my organization and productivity dashboard, allowing me to structure my life without feeling overwhelmed. It has a really clean interface and it's like a blank canvas, ready for you to shape it into whatever you need. So whether that's for writing, maybe you want to use it for brainstorming or planning your next big project. So if you want to take control of your productivity, I highly recommend checking out Notion in the link in the description below. I'll also be sharing my personal Notion design soon, which has helped me so much in terms of staying super focused and achieve much more than I imagined in last year. So when it comes to getting your time back, it's also about making the most of it. And one of the simplest ways to boost your productivity during your power hour is this next habit, and that is setting a timer. Now, this strategy is so simple, but it's one of the best ways to stay focused. Set a timer for a specific task. So let's say for 20, 30, or 50 minutes, and knowing that the clock is ticking, it really keeps you accountable and prevents you from being distracted. So if you get up to use the bathroom or grab a snack, pause the timer. And when you get back, start it again. This helps you stay really locked in without drifting to distractions. And speaking of distractions, one of the easiest ways to avoid them is by using this next habit, and that is procrastinate on the right things. We've all been there, right? You're in the middle of your focus work, but the phone pings with a message. And you can't help it, but you want to check what it is. Before you know it, you lost 30 minutes replying to texts and just scrolling. I've been there and it's really frustrating. The best solution for this is to turn your phone on Do Not Disturb. I save responding to texts and messages for my downtime. So maybe when I'm on the commute back or I'm winding down from the day. And that way I give full attention to my work when it matters the most. And I get back to messages when I'm ready. But if you want to create more space for what matters most in your work and life, this brings me to this really important habit. Say no more often. So when you get a new piece of work on your desk, ask yourself, can someone else do this better than me? For example, I'm not a designer, so I outsource any design-related tasks to freelancers who can help me do it faster and probably better. Or if you're working in a company, you might be able to ask people who have worked on similar tasks in the past to give you some advice and resources on how to do it faster and better. I think it's all about knowing your strength and focusing on what you do best. So when you delegate the rest, you get much more value with your time. And it's not just work, right? Just say no to social commitments that you don't want to go to or don't align with your goals. So you can actually enjoy JOMO, which is the joy of missing out. So productivity expert Derek Sivers has a great rule. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. By saying no more often, you give yourself that freedom to focus on what really matters. Saying no to distractions is one thing, but physical clutter can really eat up your time and energy. And that's why this brings me to this next habit, and that is be organized with your things. Think about how much time you waste searching for things every single day. So this happens to me a lot, and for me, it's keys, and it's so frustrating. I used to waste 10 to 20 minutes every morning searching for them all over the place before school drop-offs with my daughter, which makes it so stressful. So I thought enough is enough. I created a system, a tray for keys on the console table in our hallway, a box for my wallet, and my gym bag is always packed and ready to go. Now, everything has its place, and I don't waste time scrambling and having to rush. It's a really small habit, but it's so important and it saves time and takes away so much stress. And once you free up all this time, how do you fill it up intentionally instead of working more? And this brings me to this next habit, which is make appointments with yourself. So if you want to develop habits like going to the gym, reading, meditating, making an appointment with yourself by actually scheduling it in your calendar. So I scheduled time for my wind down yoga at night because I was so frustrated that I never had time for yoga. And because it's only 15 minutes and I have it in my schedule, also doing reading and journaling, it's been a game changer for my sleep and just overall well-being. The key here is that you want to block out time in your calendar for yourself, just like you would for meetings or for work. Because if it's not in your calendar, it probably won't happen. And I want to let you know that productivity isn't just about squeezing more into your day. It's about cutting out the non-essentials and also making room for what really matters. And only you know that. You know what really matters to you and you know where you want to make space for it. So what will you do with the extra time that you save from implementing these habits? Let me know in the comments below. And over here, this is a video about some micro habits that I've implemented that help to shift my mindset and change my beliefs. And I think you will find these really helpful. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.